tell me about the four guys, man. How'd you guys hook up? How'd you guys become friends? And what the heck, man? I mean, how'd you get your start?
Yeah. So when I started GreenPal, I had just sold my first company, which was a landscaping business. And I started mowing grass in high school as a way to make extra cash and stuck with a little lawn mowing business for 15 years. Built that up to about 150 people, and then it was acquired. And after that, I took about 6 months off and then got really bored and thought I need a new mission. I need a new thing. And I had the idea for GreenPal because I knew it should exist, and I was just talking to a couple of my friends about the idea, and they were like, "That's awesome. If you start that, I will literally work on it with you, and I'll quit my job and I'll work on that project with you." And I thought, well, I need something. I need something to like pour my soul into, and so I thought, let's do it. And so it was two friends that I had known for uh probably 20 years. These were guys that I trusted, and then it was a another guy that they had worked with at Dell Computer, and
Okay. Okay.
so that's how we put the band together. And ideally, when you start a startup like that, you have a hacker and a hustler. You have, somebody who knows the tech side, and you have somebody who knows the business side. And we
Right.
had we had four hustlers. None of us knew how to
Okay.
code. None of us knew the first damn thing about building software. And so we had to learn the hustler side, and we
Okay.
had to learn how to code. And so that took like
Okay.
3 years, but
Okay.
we kind of just stuck it
So
out by
so
never giving up.
so before we get, because I want to talk more about that, but tell us about the first. What was it? It was called Peachtree, right? Is that the first company you
That's
you
right.
you, you started? So how did you start that? I mean, and what was that all about?
Yeah. So started Peachtree, which was the landscaping business, when I was 19, 20 years old. And
Oh, oh,
I really I didn't really want to be a lawn guy. I really didn't like I hated the smell of freshly cut grass, and I hated smelling
okay.
like gasoline and grass all day. But I saw business ownership as my lane. I thought
Right.
this could be the thing that helps carry me to places in life, owning a business. And I made a little business plan with what I was learning in business school, and went to college, during at night, and then mowed yards all day. And by the time I graduated college, I had 5, 6 employees, and just made a little and kept working the plan. Kept working the plan of building a large landscaping company, and ended up building one of the larger companies in the southeast in the industry. Eventually, 150 employees, around $10 million a year in revenue, and then it attracted the eye of a national company in the space in 2013, and they bought it.
And
In
so how do you, I mean, how'd you put together something like that? I mean, that's a pretty big endeavor. I mean, 150 employees, and you're basically, how did you do it? So you started in the landscaping business, and then you just started expanding. So you started hiring people to go out and do lawns and to do landscaping and do, I mean, did you do like were you planting trees? Were you doing, all the yardscape, hardscape? Were you doing all that kind of stuff? I mean, was it a full service kind of landscaping company?
Yeah, all that. So
Okay.
base started off really, really, really small and humble, just me and a push mower, and then like almost like a video game, one level at a time. Grew it from me and a helper, and then me and two helpers, and four of us in one truck, and then that got to be where it wasn't efficient. So then I bolted on another crew, and then the guy had been with me for 2 or 3 years. He ran a crew, and then did that like four more times. I'm running a crew. I've got four other crews out there. I'm doing sales calls all day. I'm literally like doing bookkeeping and invoicing and administrative stuff in the truck while my guys are mowing. And I did that for 2 or 3 years, and then a big moment in that business was when I didn't have to actually mow yards anymore. So I
Right.
had like five crews going out every day, and then I'm back at the office doing sales, managing it. And then I guess year 6 or 7, I had an epiphany that I wasn't in the lawn care business. I was in the sales business.
Right.
I had to
Right.
come up
Right.
with a sales engine, and figure out a way, because at the time we might have been at $1 million in sales, and I knew I wanted to get to 10 million. And so I had to work on a sales process, a way to
Okay.
identify commercial clientele? How do we identify people who need our services and sell to them in a way that our competitors are not doing? And so I started to work that process. That took like 3 years, and eventually ended up hiring a salesperson that worked a process that I kind of laid out through trial and error, and that helped me get to 3 or 4 million. And then to your point, we did expand into installation work, and snow removal and full commercial landscape maintenance. At the time I sold it, we probably had I don't know, anywhere to like 2,000 small commercial locations, like every bank, restaurant in the whole region. We were servicing.
You were the landscape. So you're basically you're getting up in the morning and you're just looking for clients, man. You're just looking to add another spot, another business, another house
Absolutely.
to take care of. That's all you're doing. And then did you have a sales team as well? Like, did you have a bunch of sales guys as well?
Yeah, at the end of it, well, at the end of it for me, the company's still going today, and they're making more money than I ever did at running that business. But
Hmm.
the team I had a sales team of about five people that I
Okay.
managed. I
Okay.
was a sales manager of the sales team.
Okay.
And we no longer did residential work. We only did
Okay.
strictly commercial work. So over about a 10-year period of time, we rebuilt the business from a residential service-based business to a strictly commercial. So office complexes, apartments, airports, things like that. And so um, transitioning from residential to commercial is what gave me the idea to build GreenPal after I sold the company, because even though we made the transition, people still called my office every day. We would get 100 people a day calling us, "Hey, will you come mow my yard? Will you come mow my yard?" And we no longer did that. And so we had a value in running that business to always be helpful, no matter what. And so we would maintain a list of names and phone numbers of smaller service providers that did do those services, and then we would refer them. And so in effect, we were kind of like a local connector service. And so people would appreciate that, but sometimes they would call back and they would say, "Hey, I called all five of those people and they didn't call me back," and
Right. Right.
or they ghosted me or whatever.
Right. Right.
And so I saw that it was broken, that a piece of technology could solve this for both sides of the transaction. So when I sold the business and started GreenPal, I was very much solving my own problem that I experienced.
And so you're solving, so your whole goal was to help people. You're always connecting people. You were prospecting like crazy. You're always adding new business. And then another company comes around and they're like, "Hey man, we want to buy you out." Like
Exactly.
walk me through what that looks like. And I don't know how much you can get into the numbers, but I'm really curious to know. Well, first of all, walk us through a little bit of the numbers of, like, what kind of profit do you make in a landscaping business or running I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. And then walk me through this acquisition, how'd that play out? And, was it difficult? Was there challenges, or was it pretty smooth?
Yes, good set of questions. So, um, they say great businesses are bought, not sold. My business was sold. I intentionally pursued an acquisition of the company. I had reached kind of a plateau in my personal development, and one thing I didn't realize growing that business was that I was evolving into a whole new person every year or two. I was growing but from the challenges the business faced, and learning my leadership style, learning my management style, and so it was kind of fun in that way. I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, I could see that, and that kind of plateaued. I was no longer challenged by it, and that became very unsettling. And I thought, well, maybe I'll sell this company to create the space for me to do something else. Because you really, when you're running an 8-figure business with over 100 people, it's 7 days a week. It is your life. It's your heart and soul going into it. There's no time for a side project. There's no time for doing anything else. And so I thought, well, I'll create the space so I could do another challenge. And from the moment I had that idea of pursuing the acquisition to actually getting it sold was over 2 years. I had to, and one thing I didn't realize is that the way you run a business as a lifestyle business versus running a business that you intend to get acquired are vastly different.
Okay.
Just everything from like how you manage expenses to how you make investments into the business to how you manage from the spreadsheet versus managing from the heart.
Right.
They're almost diametrically opposed and at odds with one another. And I didn't know that. And so I had to kind of like take the business down to the studs and rebuild it to put in the things that it didn't have, like key managers, key cost cutting initiatives, ways to drive more profitability and squeeze more revenue out of what we were doing. And so that took 2 years. And by the time I was done doing all that, I almost fell in love with the business all over again. Then it was acquired by a national company that has thousands of employees, and they bought it, and I helped them transition, and after that, I took like 6 months off, got bored, I was very, very discontent, and I needed a new mission, and so that's when I came up with the idea of GreenPal and went all in on it.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video and you want to watch another clip, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.